What is the dumbest name you've heard someone give their child? What are you starting to love more as you get older? What's the stupidest thing you've ever done? Stayed with an ex after she cheated. Just leave, folks. There's no fixing that stuff. You know, I made the same mistake, Masonot. Same situation, same name. I think you and I are best friends now. Let someone trim my armor. You have armor? I put my hand on a stove once to see if it was hot. It was. Look for my cell phone while talking on it. Dash through the sliding screen door twice in a day. Broke my shoulder trying to take a picture in a pool. So many to choose from, I really don't think I could just pick one. Recite 90% of a movie and get 100K. What are you watching? A Quiet Place. That's actually real clever. Really good pick. Jurassic Park. Extra 10% is on the house. As a 39M, obviously Frozen because I have 3 girls. Same. Or Moana 2. 1999 cinematic masterpiece, The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Mean Girls. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The Big Lebowski. I've never actually seen The Big Lebowski. Shrek. I had that movie on VHS when I was a kid and watched it on repeat. I actually have recited it nearly line for line all the way through. My brother once asked me how much of the movie I could recite, and I asked him if he wanted to see. He said yes, and so I went as long as I could. Turns out that was the whole movie. He didn't stay the entire time, but he tagged in and out with my other siblings, and at first they were annoyed that I wasn't going to stop, but I think at some point they were kind of interested in seeing how long I would keep it up, and how long I could go for. My cousin, whose graduation party we were at the time, wasn't as amused. Hot Fuzz, The Lion King, The Lord of the Rings. You want to pick a shorter movie there, bud? Just for your own sake, I guess. The Emperor's New Groove. Billy Madison, no question. Shampoo is better. I go on first and clean the hair. Conditioner is better. I leave the hair silky and smooth. Before cell phones became the norm, what did you carry in your front right pocket? Pager, flip out, so the ladies knew I meant business. Keys. Well then, what was the left pocket? Ketchup packets. Loose change. At least 4 quarters for phone calls. My little son gave me a cool pebble he found. I carried it in my pockets for years. Hey, that's some wholesome 100 moment for sure. What are you convinced people are just pretending to enjoy? Posting on LinkedIn. Some of their friends. Corporate presentations for a big crowd. My never-ending nightmare. Singing happy birthday and having it sung to you. Nobody enjoys either one of those things. Honestly, none of these things that were mentioned I personally enjoy. I think they all suck. What critically acclaimed actor can't really act? Nicolas Cage is frequently on both best performance and worst performance shortlists, sometimes in the same year. I know you're not dogging on my boy Nick Cage from the hit movie Willy's Wonderland. Kevin Costner. He basically has one facial expression. I think Jared Leto is so overrated, he tries to be weird for weird's sake. Loved him in Requiem for a Dream and Dallas Buyers Club. Tom Hanks? Nah, I'm just kidding. That guy's awesome. Kristen Stewart. And no, I'm not just talking about the Twilight movies. She's got a ton of critical acclaim over the last few years, including a recent Oscar nomination, and I do not get it. Orlando Bloom. He's so terrible. Just wouldn't. Every scene he's in, it's like watching a school play. The single worst actor of all time is John Wayne. All-time Lifetime Achievement Award for being an absolutely terribly no good, worthless garbage actor. George Clooney. He's good looking and has a smirk, but that's it. But considering his success, he's a hell of a businessman and marketer. Will Smith. His movies are always dead on arrival. I know I'll get downvoted for this, but for me, the worst actor where only I seem to be able to see it is Harrison Ford. I'm not saying that he's a really bad actor, I'm just saying he's a way overrated. Whenever you watch a Harrison Ford movie, do this experiment. Watch him closely when he has no action to perform and no lines to deliver, especially when somebody else is talking. He often just stands there like he's feeling very uncomfortable being watched. Sometimes he even starts grinning like he's embarrassed. Can't say, can't act. But have you ever seen Benadryl Cucumber Patch playing a role where he is not a weird, fast-talking genius with issues with social interaction? Mark Wahlberg. Chris Pratt. He plays the same character over and over. Paul Rudd. He's Paul Rudd in everything. He doesn't act. He just reads lines as Paul Rudd. He's great, but he isn't great at acting. Johnny Depp has one character, Haunted Muppet. Subtract the and eyeliner from any role he's ever played, and what is left? Ben Affleck. Renee Zellweger. She was good in Cinderella Man, but I've never liked her in anything else, and she was totally wrong as Roxy Hart in Chicago. Jennifer Lawrence, and I still can't understand how she won an Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook. Just here to make sure nobody throws shade on my man Steven Seagal. He's never been critically acclaimed, so you're safe. Enjoy his films. Tom Cruise. He plays Tom Cruise in every single movie he's ever done. Every character is simply Tom Cruise being the most Tom Cruise he can possibly be. My second choice would be Nick Cage. Nah, Nicolas Cage plays a horrible Tom Cruise. You got us there. What's a beverage you're sure everyone just pretends tastes good? Definitely not Malort. I don't know what that is. Alcohol, maybe? Those algae drinks. I had one because I kept hearing how healthy they are. Later, projectile vomit, never willingly again. Slurm? What the f is Slurm? Can somebody somebody explain to me what slurm is? Thanks. Someone once quipped that drinking sparkling water is like drinking TV static, and ever since then, I can't unthink it. People be shitting on everything other than tap water here. Brisk lemon iced tea always irritates my throat. Everyone I know doesn't have this problem, but I have seen some complaints online. Kombucha. Everyone always says, I know you say you don't like kombucha, but you'll like this one. No, I do not. Anything that uses artificial sweetener. The stuff is rancid, and everyone tells me they can't taste the difference when the stuff has the bitter aftertaste and doesn't even close to sugar. Coconut water and tastes like a tropical ball sack. Matcha. At this point, I'd rather just drink green tea. What are the best jobs for introverts? Truck drivers. Security guard at a data center. It's the perfect job. You're left alone 90% of the time. The people that walk through are all introverted tech who just want to get their job done, and all the interactions are purely business. On the occasion you're asked a personal question, you can just lie, because you're probably never going to see that person again. I did some cleaning shifts for extra money and I loved it. It's a therapeutic workout. Work from home jobs. Book cataloger at a university library. Probably not what you mean, but I was a very introverted kid and my first job as a busser helped me out a lot. Don't get me wrong, I still prefer my me time, but if it wasn't for that job, I'd have no clue how to talk to people comfortably. Now, most people expect me to be an extrovert because I come off naturally tuned in. To this day, I work in hospitality and talking to people is a breeze, no matter how much I like to stay comfy at home by myself. Top of my head, I'd say landscaping or being a snowplow operator. I'm Canadian. Yeah, we couldn't tell by your username, Frosty Canuck 89. Programmer, writer, hunter, and fisherman. All at once? Assassin. Introverts tend to like being alone. Being an assassin makes that a possibility no matter where you are. Grant writing, technical writing, accounts receivable, leaning. Being a crochet pattern designer is pretty great. A bit niche though, lol. Astronaut. Nah, you're always talking to someone. Always being monitored, and if not alone, cramped in a cage with others that you'll have to interact with. Ugh. Houston's calling again. What fruit disgusts you? Red delicious apples. Of all the types of apples you could eat, why eat this with a terrible taste and worse texture? Yeah, why don't you have a golden delicious apple instead? My personal favorite apple. Dingleberries. Always taste like shit. That's a good one. Kind of gross, but that's a good one. Dragon fruit. For such a cool name, pretty tasteless. Papaya. Durian. Need I even say more? Bananas. It's a texture thing. Pumpkin. Outside of pie. Tried for other uses, and is nasty. Mostly, just want to remind everyone that pumpkins are technically fruit, and the obsession with tomatoes as the poster child for technically a fruit is dumb. Grapefruit. I just can't. My gran loves them. Ugh. Tomato. My dad used to have a tomato plant. He plucked them and ate them like apples. I like passion fruit juice. The fruit looks like it's infested with eggs and something horrible. I've never eaten the fruit. I have similar feelings about figs. Grapefruit, 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 starfruit. No one would ever eat it if not for the shape. What? I actually like the flavor. Starfruit's so good. If you could rename Earth, what would you call it? Our moon is called simply the moon, so I figure Earth could just be the planet. Dirt. Planet dirt. Earth. Terra. Being a Terran is a lot cooler than being an Earther. Our anus. r/suddenly communism. Bravo! Gaia. We Greeks call it I don't know how to pronounce that. And that comes from Gaia. And we call ourselves Gaians. Okay. Mostly harmless. Blue ball. Earthy McEarth face. Thank you, f***ing at work. Awesome. Earth 2. Let him sweat and try and figure it out. Dwayne Johnson. Planet of the Apes. And thus insulting apes. Hole. Hell. Scotland. Everything is just Scotland now? I'd be down. What do you think are the most annoying / uncreative trends in popular shows or movies these days? Bouncy camera work really pisses me off. The hard man whisper. Went to rewatch Hunger Games 1 a while ago and had to shut it off. Never realized how shaky the entire movie was, especially in the arena. When all of the dialogue seems to be a whisper, so I turn the volume up and then the action scenes are 1,000 times louder. And when the commercial starts, it blows out the speakers. Fight scenes utilizing shaky cam, multiple cuts, and being in the dark so you can barely see what's going on. I miss the days of Jackie Chan movies where the camera is just flat and steady and you can see the martial artists fighting. Please turn on the lights. That's all. Just let me see the movie. If I wanted to listen but not watch, I'd turn on an audiobook or the radio. Disney live action of their old IPs. Just make something new for once. God. Not just the old IPs. It's confirmed that Moana will have a remake soon. Cutting away before you get bored, which seems to be about 1/16th of a second after the event. We don't get time for anything to sink in, have significance or emotional impact. After the success of the MCU, everything has that Marvel-style dialogue that has to be cheeky and funny. Feels like they try to put a Spider-Man in every movie. Flash forward to the end of the season in the first episode, often misleading. Can be done well, but overdone lately. Looking at you, Only Murders in the Building. Breaking Saul and Better Call Bad did it right though. Everything related to superheroes. That stuff is just everywhere. Multiverse and connected worlds. A lot of movies don't need to be 2 to 2.5 hours long. Bring back the tight 90-minute movies or start baking in intermissions. I I can't wait for Oppenheimer to come out, but my back is going to be screaming afterward due to problems and damage I have. Who's an idiot that gets treated like a genius? I can think of somebody in specific, but whenever I say stuff like that, the comments are always like, Mason, you're too political in these videos, man. So I won't say it. Ron Hubbard, founder of Scientology. I waffle on this myself if I'm honest. Sometimes I think he's a genius who made a cult for profit, and other times I think he's an imbecile who decided to keep riding the wave he accidentally started. This guy I work with. Suck it, Jason. Chauncey Gardner. Just when you think that Reddit is nothing but 15-year-old boys, along comes a 45-year-old joke, and everyone gets it. Dr. Phil. Simon Cowell. Ironically, he spends so much of his time seeking talent when he has very little himself. While he knows the music industry, his father got him the job that brought him into the EMI. He even left that job only to come back when he couldn't make it on his own. He knows virtually nothing about music itself, or singing, or instruments, or anything really technical about anything that goes on around him. While his comments about vulnerable, talentless people used to be a draw, now that sort of thing is frowned upon. It turns out that he's not being a prick, he's boring as hell. He also was stupid enough to believe that a cosmetic surgeon could make him not look like he's over 60, when in reality, he's now morphing into Bo Select, a caricature of himself. The idiot wearing sunglasses at Helios 1 in Fallout New Vegas. People seem to be confusing asshole with idiot. Oprah, she's such a d***. Andrew Tate, not a lot of people that even care about him anymore. I think his fans were just punished to oblivion after he went to jail. Vladimir Putin hasn't done a single thing right for years and turned himself into a paranoid bunker dictator. For some reason, there are still a lot of people idolizing him. My friend Najib. Oh wait, only he thinks he's a genius. Man, classic Najib. What is the rarest item you own? I have a ukulele autographed Aloha by William Shatner. I have an original Bob Ross painting. It was one of 3 used for an episode of that television show. This one was off camera, but on set, and he used it as a reference for the one he painted on the episode. I attended the taping by sheer happenstance, and he gave it to me after the taping was complete. He autographed the back with the date, episode info, and I have a bunch of letters we wrote to each other afterwards, where he explained his inspiration for that particular painting, others related to it in the series, and his general outlook on a variety of things. The Bob Ross Foundation has been searching for this painting for decades, and I constantly get advertisements from them asking if they want to authenticate it for me. Luckily, I talked to a couple other people who had things authenticated, only to have the Bob Ross Foundation basically steal the painting and claiming they were entitled to anything Ross related. It sits on my wall in a place of honor, and I'll never give it to the Bob Ross Foundation. A Wheel of Fortune board letter N from when they had to manually put letters on the board that was signed by Pat and Vanna. Someone in my family, we think it's one of our great aunts, has a plate off the Titanic because my family is exactly the type where in the midst of a gigantic disaster, they would grab the nearest pricey thing and hold on to it for dear life. A piece of the Berlin Wall my grandpa took when it fell. I guess an autographed life-size poster of Michael Jordan from Space Jam. My dad was a limo driver back in the day, and my dad's brother was in the hospital when he was 14 at the time fighting leukemia. And my dad luckily got to pick up MJ to take him somewhere. My dad told him about my uncle, and MJ said he would go to the hospital to meet him. He signed the poster, and we have the newspaper article somewhere. Ancestor's sword from the 1600s. Mountain Dew limited edition body wash. A US penny from 1795. I own a Ninja Turtles VHS tape that was signed by 3 of the 4 original voice actors. Cam Clark, Barry Gordon, and Townsend Coleman. I'm not even sure how I got it or why Rob Paulson didn't sign it. Well, I'm sure Rob Paulson will sign it for you now. Rob Paulson's a really nice guy. A signed bootleg copy of The Hangover by Bradley Cooper. He visited our base in Afghanistan, and I handed him this clearly knockoff DVD. He looked at me and said, "Really, dude? It's all we got here, man. Ballsy." And then he signed it. That's funny, I love that. A small chunk of coal from the Titanic, numbered and certified with paperwork. A Christmas gift from my dad over 25 years ago. He kept saying I was getting coal for my Christmas gift and broke out in a big grin every time he said that. I have a signed copy of Step Brothers by Will Ferrell. I got a samurai sword that's signed by Randy Jackson. I bumped into him, and all I had was this samurai sword. And you're not gonna not get Randy Jackson's autograph, right? Right? A 68 Gibson Les Paul gold top my grandpa left me. What is a video game that is fun, despite being buggy as hell? Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's my answer. Fallout New Vegas. There are some pretty major fan bug fixes for a reason. Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines, Vanilla Stalker. It's been modded into something well beyond the original over the last 17 years, but you wouldn't believe what a shit show it was. Endless NPC glitches, graphical hitches, terrible performance, and inexplicable crashes. An absolutely nonsense story with a weird grab bag of pseudo-mil-slim mechanics, but still one of the most compelling and absolutely breathtaking environments in all of gaming. 7 Days to Die. Cyberpunk 2077. I'm glad I didn't pre-order it though. The Simpsons Hit and Run. Goat Simulator, but I'm 99% sure the shittiness is intentional. Skyrim. Ark. Dog game. Very fun though. Oblivion. Game is great. Main storyline's awesome. Dark Brotherhood storyline is even better, though sadly limited by Time's technology. Bugs galore. Still the best game ever. Microsoft Flight Simulator. Completely agree. Super Mario 64. It's the bugs that keep it interesting almost 30 years later. What fictional character is actually the bad guy disguised as the hero? Joy from Inside Out. Easy. Walter white. Ferris Bueller takes advantage of Cameron so much, I just really feel for the guy. His life might be a bit strict, but Ferris basically forces him to have multiple meltdowns, all to get him out of his bubble. SpongeBob. He is selfish and harmful to those around him due to his lack of care or respect for them. Goku is an absolute sociopath. Dennis the Menace. Both Tom and Jerry. Every old man in Scooby-Doo. The hero? Okay. Ted Mosby. Why are you single? Big inside boo-boo. I work really, really hard to find peace in my life. It will take someone very special who would add to the peace instead of interrupting it, and I'm holding it out for her. Why would I inflict myself on someone else? I'm 36, broke, depressed, on disability, living with my parents. How do you Tinder even that? First, I gotta be able to take care of myself and get myself into shape mentally and physically. No way I'm gonna traumatize someone with my 101 problems. Also, I'm a loser. That's why I'm single. Because I'm still waiting. I don't get out much, and I'm way too picky with partners, so I end up with nobody. And on the off chance I do find somebody, I'm really bad at planning dates and keeping their attention. You know a lot of girls, or guys for that matter, would be interested in a below-average looking, socially awkward, unemployed, balding nerd with a fetish for role-playing as a latex and leather horse? Yeah, me neither. Well, point taken. What is the weirdest talent you have? I can write with both hands simultaneously, but my left hand just writes what my right hand is writing backwards. It doesn't even take any effort, it just happens. I'm really good with time, and I can usually tell what time it is without looking at a clock. I can just feel it, and normally I'm right. Me too. Also, I can read the room, and I'm a medium. You're not a medium, you're schizophrenic. I can perfectly fold a fitted sheet, so you're a witch. Gotcha. I can almost always tell when someone's lying. Been brought along by friends to meet their girlfriends and boyfriends just to tell if they're lying about something or not. I have an uncanny knack for starting sing-alongs, often getting total strangers to happily harmonize on weird, warped, wickedly wacky, and occasionally dirty ditties. When I was a kid, I used to be able to speak in two distinctly different pitches at the same time, and I called it my alien voice. Now when I try to do it, I just sound like the pimpled teenager from The Simpsons. I can lick my own spleen. What? I don't even want to know. Honestly, I don't. I can always tell what floor of a building I'm on. My ability to fuck up even the surest thing. Spinning around in circles for hours on end several times a day and not getting dizzy. As a matter of fact, I actually find it soothing. What is the coolest band name? I've always liked Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem from the Muppets. Iron Maiden is pretty metal. Rage Against the Machine is a pretty good name. Velvet Underground. The answer is Black Sabbath. Alice in Chains and Rage Against the Machine. Sonic Youth. The name really represents what this band was all about. When they were young, of course. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Sexual Chocolate. Always thought Faith No More was a sick name. 9 Inch Nails. The Smashing Pumpkins is a pretty great name. The Gorillas. Always thought it was clever. A group of gorillas is called a band. What is the most uncomfortable feeling in the world? Hanging out with your friend while also hanging out with their friend that clearly doesn't care for you, and they keep throwing around inside jokes and addressing each other more than you. Just before you vomit. Boss asks you to come into his office later, but don't say why. Going to the bathroom from a wet bathing suit. Your butt is wet, and you slide around in the toilet. It's so creepy, it feels like you're cleaning the seat with your butt. Horrible. Sore throat. You take for granted how often you swallow until it physically pains you to do it. Pulling out a dry tampon. When you bite into a food that's supposed to be soft and something crunches. Or when you choke while drinking water in a public space. Whenever I used to stream on Twitch, back in the day, I feel like every time I would try to drink water, I would fuck it up. But I would never do it in normal time, but it's only when I was on camera where I would drink water and be like, it was weird. When you're over at someone else's house and block up the toilet and can't get it to flush. Sitting on piles of hemorrhoids are called piles. When your significant other says, we need to talk. Secondhand embarrassment, also known as why I can't watch The Office. I think this is the reason why I never got into it. I tried to watch the first 2 seasons and I could not do it. When you remember the most cringe thing you said 10 years ago. I do this every day all the time and I can't stop. What are you starting to dislike more as you get older? When they rearrange the grocery store, leaving the house. People with attention-seeking behavior who continue talking even when others are speaking. Their constant I'm so cool antics in public to impress a crowd, only to bitch about the same people later. Sadly, I have one at home and I'm so done, man. Social media, the sound of traffic, the story writing. These days, all we see is remakes and reboots. The same problem. I want humans to finally figure things out. Like stop bringing glass bottles to the river. Bring a trash bag with you. Park normally. Leave early. Stop doing that one thing that is holding you back. Loud, attention-seeking people. Other people's chewing sounds. Booming car stereos in my GD peaceful residential neighborhood. People with no manners. I swear the world has become totally disrespectful. What are you starting to love more as you get older? Sitting at home and not doing shit. Quiet, clean house, flowers in the garden, time with friends. Not having plans. Taking naps. Silence. It's glorious. People gifting me socks and other essentials. If it keeps me from making a trip to the store, it's an amazing gift. Cups of tea. A cup of coffee alone at 6 a.m. before everyone else wakes up. Solitude. What is the dumbest name you've heard someone give their child? There was a woman who used to cut my hair named Secretia, like secretion. Ew. One of the worst that comes to mind in recent times, Giselle. The person's name was honest to God, Giselle. I once met a woman who named her sons Doral and Viceroy. yesterday. I asked her, like the cigarettes? She said, yes, those were my daddy's favorite smokes. Felony. I've been downvoted a lot on Reddit for sharing this because people never believe it's a real name someone would give a kid, but it is. I knew a pair of twin boys in elementary school named Freedom and Friendship. I had twins in my first year of teaching and they were Elise and Hennessy. Those poor kids. Hubert! Caitlin, but it was spelled Kviiitlyn. Apple. Now they just need a kid named Orange. Elon Musk has entered the chat. What the f is this kid's name? Lol. That's it for today's video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night.